Good morning, dear students. How are you all? I hope you all are good, safe, and healthy at home. Yes, dear students. So I am Munish Yadav, PGT Economics from Suraj School, Bhiwadi. We are here again to discuss about some important topics related to first chapter, that is Indian economy on the eve of independence. So, my dear students, before starting this topic, I want to say something that every child is compulsorily send their work. If you are not beta sending, so we are not keeping record of your work. So for the proper record maintain, you must send your work to respective teachers. Okay, all the respective subject teachers. So dear student, let's proceed for the today's topic. Yes, we are studying chapter 1, and the chapter is Indian economy on the eve of independence. So in the previous videos we have completed almost topics in this chapter. Today we will complete this chapter along with the today's topic. So we have completed that how Britishers exploit our economy, and then after what was the features of Indian economy on the eve of independence, what was the condition of Indian agriculture on the eve of independence, how Britishers renewed our economic condition related to agriculture, then after how Britishers renewed the condition our industrial sector, and what were the conditions of industrial sector on the eve of independence by their discriminatory policy. Then after India's foreign trade, that how India becomes exporter of raw material and importer of finished goods, and British government mm, makes India as a market only. Okay, they were just check India as a market. They consider India as a biggest market for their machine made products, and India's foreign trade 100% controlled by, yeah, completely controlled by the British government that time. And if there were any benefits, so it was taken by British government. It means there is no direct benefit to the Indian traders. Yes, dear student, along with this topic we have also completed demographic profile during the British rule. Demographic profile means birth rate, death rate, infant mortality rate, life expectancy. We have completed all the points. Then after demographic transition means that what were the changes in total population of India, and how 1921, the year of 1921 is regarded as the year of great divide. We have successfully completed in the previous videos. So today our topic is occupational structure on the eve of independence. Occupational structure means that how द पीपल ऑफ अ कंट्री अर्न देयर लिविंग्स. वहाँ के लोग कैसे लिविंग्स अर्न करते हैं, कैसे मनी अर्न करते हैं, और कौन कौन से काम करते हैं. सो वेरियस एक्टिविटीज़ आर इंक्लूड हेयर. सो डियर स्टूडेंट्स, हेयर आर द थ्री मेन एक्टिविटीज़: primary sector, secondary sector, and tertiary sector. So primary sector includes agriculture, agricultural laborers, forestry, fisheries, animal husbandry, plantation, mining. Okay, and secondary sector means the producing units, small and large scale industries, building, construction. Tertiary sector means all kind of services, trade and commerce, transport, storage, communication, other services are included in occupational structure. So from the total population, more than 70%, it means 72.7% people who engaged in agriculture sector, primary sector. Only 10% people engaged in secondary sector, and only 17.2% people who engaged in tertiary sector. So this is the condition. Or when we compare Indian economy with the rest of the world, so it was very backward condition. Look at here some important points. Yes, dear students, agriculture. At that time, on the eve of independence, 72.7% people from India engaged in, the total population engaged in agriculture. But samely, if we talk about the agriculture in England and America, only 2% people were engaged population, and 12% in Japan, and in Germany it was only 4%. So look at the condition of that agriculture period. Yes, and then industry. Hardly in India, only 9% working population in industry sector. But on the other hand, 32% in USA, 42% in England, and 39% in Japan. So very developed countries at that time. Unbalanced growth of service sector. It means service sector was not probably developed and basic facilities were not given to the people of a country. Yes, dear students. So then after infrastructure on the eve of independence, this is the second last topic of this chapter. In infrastructure means that economic and social change in our country, our economy. So dear students, economic change means means of transportation, communication, banking, power generation. These are the pillars for economic development. Then after social change means that how the society changed because of educational, health and housing facilities. So these are the foundation for growth and development of the country. किसी भी country के development के लिए social और economic जो infrastructure है, जो changes है, वो foundation का काम करते हैं, basic है ये. Okay, so what was the condition? Yes, dear students, the condition was not so much good. Railways were developed to transport finished goods from Britain to the interior of the colonial India. It means इंडिया के डिफरेंट डिफरेंट पार्ट्स में ब्रिटिश गुड्स जो थे, वो जो ब्रिटेन से आते थे, वो ही ट्रांसपोर्ट होते थे रेलवेज़ में. तो रेलवेज़ का इंडियंस के लिए डायरेक्टली कोई यूज़ नहीं था. पोर्ट्स वर डेवलप्ड, जो पोर्ट्स बने थे शिपमेंट के थ्रू, शिप से सामान इधर से उधर ले जाने के लिए. इट वॉज फॉर द एक्सपोर्ट एंड इम्पोर्ट ऑफ ब्रिटिश गुड्स ओनली. इंडियंस को, इंडियन ट्रेडर्स को कोई डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट्स नहीं था. पोस्ट एंड टेलीग्राम्स वर डेवलप टू एनहांस द एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव एफिशिएंसी. ये भी ब्रिटिश एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव एफिशिएंसी को बढ़ाने के लिए, उनके काम को प्रॉपर करने के लिए जनरेट हुआ. इंडियंस के लिए इसका भी कोई बेनिफिट नहीं था, डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट्स नहीं था. रोड्स वर डेवलप टू फैसिलिटेट ट्रांसपोर्टेशन ऑफ रॉ मटेरियल फ्रॉम डिफरेंट पार्ट्स ऑफ द कंट्री टू द पोर्ट्स. रोडवेज का भी कंस्ट्रक्शन हुआ, बट वो भी डायरेक्टली किसके लिए यूज़फुल था? ब्रिटिशर्स के लिए. Okay, so it means almost facilities were developed, but directly these were used by the British government, no direct benefits to the Indian traders or Indian population. Okay, so backward condition on for the purpose of development in India. Yes, so dear students, and the last topic of the chapter and last topic is impact of railways in India. Means what is the impact of railways at that time, at the time of independence, as well as now in the present. So dear students, we categorize the impact in two parts, positive and negative. There are some positive impacts and negative impacts. So first of all, on the eve of independence, the positive impact, railways facilitates expansion of domestic market. Domestic market expand हो रही थी, एक्सपोर्ट इम्पोर्ट इंक्रीज हो रहे थे. रेलवेज़ कॉमर्शलाइजेशन में एग्रीकल्चर प्रोडक्ट्स को एक जगह से दूसरी जगह ले जाने में हेल्प कर रहा था. रेलवेज़ इनेबल द पीपल टू ब्रेक द बैरियर्स ऑफ डिस्टेंस. लोग एक जगह से दूसरी जगह ईजिली जल्दी जा सकते थे. एंड फास्टर मूवमेंट ऑफ फूड ग्रेन्स टू द डिजास्टर्ड एरिया. जो भी आपके नेचुरल डिजास्टर एरियाज़ थे, फेमाइंस जहाँ होती थी, वहाँ सामान को फटाफट से फूड ग्रेन्स को लेकर जाते थे और लोगों की हेल्प हो जाती थी. तो इट मीन्स देर आर द पॉजिटिव इम्पैक्ट्स, बट along with the positive there are the some negative impact. रेलवेज कॉन्ट्रीब्यूटेड टू द कॉलोनियल एक्सपेंशन ऑफ द इकोनॉमी. इंडिया को कॉलोनियल पार्ट्स में डिवाइड करने में रेलवेज़ ने बहुत कंट्रीब्यूट किया. फिनिश गुड्स जो थे वो इम्पोर्ट्स हो रहे थे और रॉ मटेरियल जो है एक्सपोर्ट हो रहा था, तो इससे इंडियन मार्केट डिस्ट्रॉयड हो रही थी. एंड स्प्रेड ऑफ रेलवेज लेड टू द स्प्रेड ऑफ डोमेस्टिक मार्केट फॉर द ब्रिटिश प्रोडक्ट. और रेलवेज टोटली बेनिफिटेड टू द British government to extend their market in India. But Indian domestic market and international market renewed by the contribution of railways. Okay, because it was not helpful for the Indian traders. So why there any positive impact of Indian rules, British rule in India? So dear students, we have studies of the negative points, but just leave all the negative points, but we talk about in the present. So there are the several positive points in India of railways. Yes, commercial आउटलुक ऑफ द फार्मर्स. फार्मर्स के लिए बहुत हेल्पफुल है. न्यू अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ ऑफ एम्प्लॉयमेंट, एंड रेलवेज इज़ द बिगेस्ट एम्प्लॉयमेंट sector in India now in present in 2020. yes, कंट्रोल ऑफ फेमाइंस, जहाँ भी फ्लड सुनामी होती है तो रेलवे से लोगों को भी और फूड ग्रेन्स को भी ईजिली एंड हैवियर और लार्ज स्केल पर ट्रांसपोर्ट किया जा सकता है। मनी सिस्टम ऑफ एक्सचेंज में भी हेल्प होती है लार्ज स्केल इंडस्ट्रीज़ और लेबर लॉज में, सब में एफिशिएंट सिस्टम ऑफ एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन और हर चीज़ को कंट्रोल करने में भी हेल्प होता है, पॉलिटिकल और प्लानर सब। सो इट मीन्स रेलवेज presently playing a very important role in Indian economy. So my dear students, along with this topic our chapter is completed. I hope you understand the point. So dear student, do all the questions in your fair notebook, and beta, again I am telling you, just send your works pick on the regular basis to the concerned subject teachers. Okay, it is really helpful to maintain the record that how many students are doing work on regular basis, or this is very important. And ask your doubt to concerned subject teachers on the given time, 3 to 4 p.m. This is your doubtful session, and don't hesitate to send your doubts, ask your doubts. So dear students, stay blessed, stay safe at home.